Welcome to K-Drama School. I'm your host, Grace Jung, and class is now in session. I don't have much to say about this week's show. It's called Till the End of the World. It came out in 1998. It stars Kim Hee-sun and Ryu Si-won. And I think I talked about Ryu Si-won before. Ryu Si-won was like the 1990s K-drama sweetheart. He was the 90s Leonardo DiCaprio of South Korea. You know, all the girls were in love with Leo in the 90s, and Ryu Si-won was another one of those. You know what it was? Ryu Si-won had this hairstyle, like it like a mushroom haircut kind of thing, but not like tacky. It was like kind of sexy. Like he had bangs. I mean, everything I'm saying to describe this look sounds unsexy, but I swear to God, back in the 90s, Ryu Si-won had this haircut, and any guy that had a similar haircut, I would like be in love with him. Like that was like my style. Like I dug that style of haircut. This show also stars Kim Ho-jin, and it's a really messed up kind of show. It also has supporting roles from very big Hallyu stars. Kim Sona is in it as a supporting role, and Kim Jung-un is also in it in a supporting role. Kim Jung-un is known for Lovers in Paris, which is an amazing show. I'll talk about it at some point. And Kim Sona, as you all know, she was in My Lovely Samsun, which I already talked about. I recommend this show if you want to feel very sad. Honestly, I don't recommend the show at all. It's not that good of a show. I'm just talking about it because it came out in the late 90s, and I saw like older friends of mine, like unnis and oppas, like I saw them watch this show, and I was just like very curious. Basically, all right, this show is actually really fucked up. So Kim Hee-sun, right? She's an orphan. She grew up at this orphanage that Ryu Si-won's character's mother runs. So the director of this orphanage is the mother to Ryu Si-won's character, and Kim Hee-sun is the orphan that grew up in this orphanage, right? And she's like the big sister, and she takes care of all these young kids, and it's like a beautiful thing. And Ryu Si-won's character is into Kim Hee-sun's character. They're like kind of in love, but then the director chick, I mean the lady, she finds out that her son is dating this orphan girl, and she's like not having it. And I was like, wow, what kind of like fucked up kind of hypocrisy is that? Like, your life is dedicated to rearing orphans, but you also reject them when they want to marry your son. I was like, what? It's a little messed up. Anyway, so Kimi-san leaves. She leaves the orphanage, and she's like, about college age, right? And a very unfortunate thing happens to her. Okay, like the thing is, Korean dramas, they very rarely show rape. Very rarely do they actually have a character get raped, right? But this is what happens to Kim Sun's character. She gets fully raped by Kim Ho-jin's character. Kim Ho-jin is like, he plays this rich asshole type, right? But he's not nice. I mean, he's a rapist. Hello. And he rapes her, and Kim Sun gets pregnant. She gets knocked up. It's so fucked up, right? And she breaks Ryu Si-won's heart by just saying like, yeah, I don't love you anymore, even though that's not true. She totally does love him. And she's pregnant with this asshole's kid. And this asshole guy, right? Like, he is so manipulative and cruel and demeaning. And all she wants to do is like have a father for this child. But this guy is just like obsessed with her, but like his parents won't have her. And, he knows that she doesn't love him. And he always threatens suicide. Like, Kim Ho-jin's character threatens suicide about 3 or 4 times on this show. It's like remarkable how often he turns to. At one point, he even gets down on his knees and like shows a knife, and he's like, "Let's just both die." Like, or he's like, "If you don't come with me, I'm gonna kill myself." And at one point, like, Kimi Sun's character's so sick of it, she just says, "Yeah, go ahead and kill yourself." I was like, "Yes, bitch." It's like, finally. I don't know, what can I say about this show? Like, this show does the same thing that all the other shows do, which is that, like, an orphan girl, because they don't know, like, where her blood lineage is from, they just end up killing her. They usually end up killing her with leukemia, and that's what happens to this chick. She dies of leukemia. Duh, of course she dies of leukemia. And Yu Xinwen's character, he gets blinded by Kim Ho-jin's character. Kim Ho-jin takes a glass bottle and smashes it in his eye, and he goes blind. So what Kim Hee-sun's character does is she has leukemia, so like she's at the like tail end of her life, right? She has the baby, first of all, gives birth to the baby, and then since she's about to die, she donates her eyes to Du Xuan's character, and Du Xuan wakes up with like his lover's eyes in his fucking head. It's really kind of insane and cruel and kind of camp. It's a little campy. But it's honestly, when you're watching the show, it doesn't feel camp at all. It's very melodramatic. It's heavy. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff, but it's not a good show, honestly. I wouldn't recommend it. Don't watch it. I'm just talking about it because I think the themes are interesting or whatever. Ryushion was hot back in the day, but Ryushion actually is no longer part of the Hallyu industry system because he got marred in some domestic violence scandal, and we just don't see him on TV anymore. So that's sad, I guess. Um, yeah, just don't be hitting women, you know? I mean, it's such a stark contrast to the kind of person that he played. He always played a good guy. He always played that nice, sweet oppa that you could rely on, the oppa that would do anything for you. He always played that kind of guy. And then in his real life, turns out he was this crazy stalker, domestic abuser. Um, Yikes. Anyway, you guys, I don't have much in terms of updates. I guess I was feeling a little depressed this past week. I know that I have depression when I keep thinking about ordering a pizza. And the thing is, in Los Angeles, it's never a good idea to order a pizza because it's just going to be disgusting always. Like, there's never good pizza in Los Angeles. In New York, as soon as I arrive, I always order a whole pie for Grace. That's what I do. But here, I don't like to order pizza because I know it's going to be garbage. So that's when I know, like, when I have this feeling of wanting to order pizza, I know that it's depression. It's a form of self destruction. And I have to look inwards and be like, what the hell's going on? What is going on? I haven't figured it out yet. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm doing a little bit better today than I was yesterday. Yesterday, I really couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything, but today I got to do a lot of things, so I'm glad for that. And yeah, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. I had a lot of fun at the Hollywood Improv tonight. Had a great set. Got to see a bunch of my friends. It was a fantastic time. Kirk Fox dropped in, did a set, and that guy's so profound. Like, he's like very deep in some ways. It was really fascinating to see him drop in on a mic and just like do his thing. It was quite fascinating. Anyway, you guys, my guest today is Misho Shakur, and he is, I don't know. Like, to me, he feels like a kind of a soulmate. I have several soulmates in my life, and I feel like Misho is like another soulmate. That's what I feel. He is the man. What can I say? He's based in New York. He's a hilarious comic, and he's a good guy. He's a stand-up guy. He's a likable fella. Everybody loves him. Okay. Misho's also an artist. Visual artist. What's not to like? Misho is also from Syria. He's Syrian, okay? And we kind of get into that stuff. We talk about that stuff, but we also talk a lot about spirituality, about psychedelics, about the meaning of life and love. I love talking to Misha Shakur. He's one of my favorite people to talk to on earth. And I'm really, really glad that we had this opportunity to speak to each other. So, you guys, let's listen in on our conversation with Misho Shakur. I was just like, I was like, I know that Misha and I would have a really good conversation, but I'm gonna wait on it, and then I'm gonna figure this out. So I fought for you. I went, I commented on your
Really?
Instagram, and I was like, this is worth the fight. It's worth the journey.
I was so flattered. I'm like, oh, in the middle of my incompetence, she's like really seeking out this. Like, oh, wow, okay.
Some people are just worth it, man.
I know. So
Some
thank you.
people are worth it.
I know. You hear about comics like, oh, we had to get them to the show. It's like, oh, some comics don't want to go to the show. It's like,
No, man, you're worth
I
it.
really appreciate you. Thank
Of
you. Thank you.
course, of course.
Yeah.
Um, your headphones are kind of tapping on your mic, just
Gotcha.
FYI.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so just
Let me make
yeah.
sure I have the. Yes. Better. Better.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
All
that
right.
the mic, like
It's
whenever the mic
yeah.
gets touched, it I could hear it. So that's the
I
only
got you.
issue.
I got
But
you.
it's all good.
Yeah.
Um Yeah, I was in New York actually earlier this, well, actually 1 month ago. I was there from September 1st to the 8th.
Hmm.
And I was hoping to run into you at a mic, but like our paths
I
it just
know.
didn't cross this time.
Oh, I'm glad. My bad. I missed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny when even when you're in the same city, you're like, I'll run into this person at a mic or
Exactly.
something, and then you
Yeah.
don't see him for a year. It's like, okay, I
I
guess
know.
God didn't want us to meet.
I know we had to I had to make it work on my own, you know? It was still
Yeah.
God though. It was still my inner God being like, "Grace, you can do this. You can navigate it and figure it out." But I was just like, yeah, I was like, I'm in New York. I know I'm gonna run into him, but it didn't end up happening. And
Yeah, I think it would also been like, so, dude, you're ducking my Instagram. Like it would have been.
the fuck is that shit
Yeah.
about, huh? You got a problem, huh?
It's like,
Yeah. No, it's fine. You know who I did talk to though was Dan Frank.
damn Frank, hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love Dan Frank. Such a nice guy, so funny, right?
Yes,
And just like another one of those genuine spirits, you know?
for sure.
Um, yeah, yeah. And he loves you too. We were both talking about you and how much we both adore you.
Hell yeah. Do you mean
Ben?
Ben Frank? Is it
Is it
Ben
Ben
Frank?
Frank? I
I
thought it was
believe
Dan
so.
Frank. Hmm.
Uh, I
Is it
was
Ben
like,
Frank?
I think it's Frank. Yeah, Ben from he was like performing
No,
in China a bunch. Is that Ben?
no, that's not
Dan
him.
Frank.
It's his name Dan Frank.
Who's Dan Frank? Jesus.
He's like Jewish and
Oh, Dan
white.
Frank. Oh, fuck me. I should have Googled his name before I got the name wrong. God bless. All right, I guess I'm dumb. That could have so been easily avoided. I'm so stupid.
Who
Okay.
cares? Who cares? You're not stupid. Ben and Dan are pretty similar. Like they
I
sound
know. I was
similar.
like, oh,
Yeah.
Dan Frank. You know, white guys look alike. Come on.
They're all the
Uh,
same.
I
They're all the
know.
same person.
Dan, yes.
How have you been though otherwise? Like genuinely, what like
Um,
how are you feeling today?
oh, I'm really good. I've been getting my shit together. Honestly, this
Yeah.
since I've been just like really um I don't know, listening to God. Is that good? I've been at
Yes.
peace. Yeah,
Fuck
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
That's beautiful. I love that.
yeah,
Perfect answer.
yeah.
Listening to God. How do you listen to God?
Well, he won't shut the fuck up. Really, it's if you,
Okay, what's he
it's
saying?
like I'm trying. Uh, well, it's like you kind of like I see like paths now. I'm like, all right, this goes here, this goes here, and I
Yes.
feel like that vision is God.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like um, I'm from Syria. You remember I was telling you
Yeah.
about myself and
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the worst thing about it was
Mm.
that the future was foggy.
Ah.
You just like the future has no use in a way. It's like why
Mm-hmm.
think about the future? That seems like heartbreak that you're
Mm-hmm.
carving for yourself.
Yes.
Now, again, it's more like, oh, I can look forward and see some light. I like the light.
Right.
Really enjoying the light.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting how like the like, again, they say this like when you're about to take a trip, but they're like, setting, right?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Setting, who you're with, all of that, it like contributes to the experience. And in our wakeful state, without the substances that help us or enable us, even in our wakeful state, we still have that clarity to know whether or not we're in a foggy place or we're in a place of clarity.
Absolutely. I my camera is here and the screen is here, so if it's
It's okay.
creating any
No, no,
disconnect.
no. It's
Yeah.
all right. Totally fine.
I absolutely know what you mean. It's like because it's all about bringing the lessons back, right, and
Mhm,
having them. So
mhm,
I know exactly what you mean. Of like
mhm.
just learning the lesson is the first step. A lot of people learn the lesson and they kind of like stop, right?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and you're like, no, the application is the what you gotta do. It's like that you say awareness doesn't solve the problem. You still gotta solve the problem.
You gotta do it, you gotta do the
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
You
yeah,
gotta put
yeah.
it into action. Is there a
Absolutely.
lesson that came to you recently that you're trying to work on applying at the moment?
Um, uh, the most one that came to me right away when you asked was maybe trusting people.
Ah,
Honestly, uh, it's like because you bring what you put out, right? So if you're looking out for betrayal, I think you just attract betrayal.
mm,
So just believing in that someone is has like good in them, and like, oh, maybe not everyone is evil and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
It's been good. Yeah.
I'm so glad we're talking, Misho. I am so glad
I
we're
know. We had like two, three, like I'm like, these are great conversations. I can just talk and talk to this lady.
Yeah, it's 'cause, I feel similarly right now. Um, Actually, when I saw you back in May, I
Mhm.
was not in the greatest place. I was in the pushing phase,
Gotcha.
God and the universe was pushing me, and it was pushing me out of my negative thinking, like, we all have the helicopter in our minds, like, for instance, you say the lack of trust thing or expecting betrayal, expecting backstabbing, right?
Mhm.
And at the time, my thing was, "You've done everything wrong in your life. Every step you ever took led to this moment of massive failure," and I was like, "Fuck," you know? And then I was just like, "You know what? This intensely negative voice is super loud right now because things are actually going in the right direction. So I'll just take that as a sign that I'm doing the right thing. The right thing as in I'm taking the courageous path, the
Mhm.
brave path, the one that requires risk and self-belief, self-trust, and trust in others." And that's why the negative thinking is so fucking loud because it's terrified. The ego is terrified, right? And as soon as I figured out how to code switch that, the the positive voices got louder, and then the tools for how to enhance the positive voices
Exactly.
came to me very quickly.
It's like a skill you learn. You get better at it, right?
Yes.
And like you
Yes.
said, fear is a great compass. When you find
Mm.
that out, you're like, oh yeah, it's just the thing I'm most afraid of.
Yeah,
That's
fear
what
is
I
a great
gotta do.
compass. What a
Yeah.
beautiful phrase. Fear is a great compass. Fucking tattoo it on everybody's foreheads.
It's like
Yes.
inside of my eyelids. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, I know. Seriously, that is so true. Like, people take fear as just fear, and they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh my god, this is fear, and I'm terrified of it." Uh, but it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just one thing. It's just
Hmm.
another aspect of life. It's one emotion, and there's the God part of us, the bigger part of us that is like, "I can deal with that," you know?
Yes.
Um, in July, actually, that was my big, LSD meditation. In July, I was taking acid and I said my intention was, "How do I become fearless?" Yeah, that
Oh, yeah.
was the question I put in, and the answer was very simple. It was just, "Be brave."
I know. I know. It's the best. That's the best. I know. I know. I love it. I love it.
It said everything. It said everything. So what I was doing was it said be and when I'm on LSD, I usually color a lot and I draw,
Hmm.
and I kept drawing a dinosaur. And the dinosaur kept saying, "Be brave." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So this is my acid dinosaur spirit animal." And and it's hilarious and it's like cute
Absolutely.
and it's lovable and everybody loves dinosaurs. Like, who doesn't love a dinosaur? And
Well,
if a
no one has ever
dinosaur
met one, and it's like, it's like, oh, chickens and alligators. I guess they're cool.
which were also dinosaurs at one
Yeah,
point in
yeah,
their
yeah.
lives.
It's like,
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah, nobody's met one before, so anybody can imagine their own dinosaur however they fucking
Exactly.
please.
Exactly.
So beautiful. Oh my, epic. Epic. So
So I
good.
someone told me I give off elephant vibe. I'm like, they're like, you're like an elephant. I'm like, I love that. I love that.
Dude, you know what my spirit animal is? It's an
Yeah.
elephant.
Hell yeah.
My favorite animal in the world is an elephant because this is what I heard about it. I kind of agree. You do have the elephant vibe around you. You got the elephant spirit around you. Elephants, they have like a massive brain, right? And I think elephants have other sets of emotions that human beings and other creatures don't have. I think that's why they say elephants have a like a good memory, like they
Yes,
remember
yes,
everything. I
yes.
think I think they have more depth because their brains are so massive. What do you think of that?
Oh well, I heard the memory thing always, and I was like, oh, they like, but they're like so massive, and they like can't be bothered. Like I would hold a grudge, but walking takes 50 years, so I don't have time really. I remember though, and
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like yeah, I'm gathering small animal companions. Like, hey, watch out for any mice. I'm good with anything other than mice. Mice will get me. So.
Yeah, like when I saw the live did you see the live action film of Dumbo?
Mm-mm.
So I think um Tim Burton directed it. So I saw excuse me, I saw Dumbo, the Disney film when I was younger, and that movie scared the shit out of me. I don't know if you've
Yes.
seen, right?
I That's why I was like, I'm not trying to touch any of that. Like I was like, I saw it once, traumatizing as fuck. I'm like,
It's
okay.
so scary. It was so scary. I was terrified. But then I saw the live action Tim Burton version, and there was this scene. It's a very psychedelic scene, actually, when Dumbo is like, he's scared and he's
Mhm.
like, very shy, and he's looking at the circus happening, like the spectacle of the circus, and he sees like what do you call it? Bubbles, like bubbles in the shapes of animals and stuff. And he's like scared, but he's marveling these, at the spectacle. And I could see him kind of like detaching from his fear and just projecting outward and taking in the beauty. But but his fear hasn't fully gone away. There's still some fear in his eyes. And it was just such a complicated like image. And
Mhm.
I don't know why, but I felt so emotional like watching that scene. Like I was like, I mean, it's not a sad scene, but I was like crying in the movie theater.
I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I mean, you can find that's also something you get on psychedelics. I get is like literally everything is a lesson. Like you could find yourself, you can find meaning of the world in a table. You're like, oh, the wood came together, and all those hours of something, and oh, the miracle of human wonder. You can put meaning on literally anything.
Yeah.
So when something like that, it's like it makes perfect sense to put all the meaning on it, where you're like, oh, it's like you the animals are different. You know what I mean? You can
Yeah.
put that, and it's like the place to do it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, like, do you ever feel like that psychedelic lesson, even after you're done with the trip, does it kind of continue on into your wakeful state or in your dream state? And do you continue to get those lessons like coming at you like continuously?
Well, it depends, right? Like some lessons better than others, and also when I'm on acid, I can see that it's a path. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like it's
mhm,
steps. They happen faster
mhm.
because I'm on acid, but it's not like a jump. It's not an elevator. It's a logical steps to let's call it enlightenment for better for
Mhm,
lack of a better word.
mhm, mhm,
So it's not without, like it's within reach. All I
mhm.
need is to convince myself of it.
Yeah.
So while when I come back, certain parts of the argument might not
Mhm,
be as clear.
mhm.
If I know the end and the beginning, and you try to fill in the blanks as best you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very like on the fence about like, let's call them, for lack of better word in this case, let's call them
Uh-huh.
aliens, right? I
Right,
was very
right,
much
right.
on the fence about this. Um, and before psychedelics, I was just like, no, they're like not even real. Also, who cares? Like they're irrelevant to
Right,
my
right,
life
right.
on Earth. It felt that way. But after talking to you and your DMT experience, I was like, I am fully convinced. Like, it didn't take documentaries. It didn't take physicists, or it didn't take any of that shit. It took you telling me your candid ass DMT trip stories. Can you can you
First
can
of
you
all,
share it? Yeah.
we were talking about like having conversations. I talked to you like 3 times, and it was so easy and seamless. You know what I mean? Like the
Seamless.
very few
Yes.
conversations, and also most people, you start bringing up life and DMT and the meaning of it all, they walk away. You know what I
Their
mean?
eyes
So they're
glaze over. Yeah,
so
they don't want to
God
hear it.
bless you for being open to hearing
It was
what I
fascinating.
had.
I was fully absorbed. It was just as much of a pleasant conversation for me as it was for you. I'll tell you that
That
right
is
now. Yeah.
so funny. It's
Yeah.
just interesting. The thing I go in my head, I'm like, I took. I'm like, I wonder if that was too imposing or too
No.
like. Okay, fantastic.
No.
So thank you.
Yeah.
The DMT. I mean, so I did it twice.
Yeah.
And I had done acid before, and acid was such a big like moment for me. Doing it for
Mhm.
the first, I was in a bad place. I was, it was a lot of fog in the future. Again, you know what I mean.
Mm.
Um, so when I did acid, I definitely found logical arguments which I needed to for all the stuff: loving yourself, loving people,
Mhm.
being enlightened, being free,
Mm.
all the good stuff. You know, we can do a lot about that. So I was
Mhm.
always curious. So DMT always felt like that last thing. So the first time I did it,
Mhm.
um, I was on my roof. I put it in a weed bowl. I put it in between weed, and I hit it.
Mhm.
Um, and I saw the leaves on my roof start like on the trees go like fast, and then
Mm.
slow down, and
Mhm.
then speed back up. So I could immediately, the world starts telling you it's not real.
Mm.
And the way the world can tell you anything is through your senses. So your senses just go, all right, forget about trusting what you see, forget about trusting what you hear, what you feel. All of that goes away. And I remember this clearly. My body became irrelevant. And I really use that.
Mhm.
It's like irrelevant. It's like
Mm.
worrying about it would be a disservice to life. It was that irrelevant,
Mm.
and I became my idea of myself.
Mhm.
And whatever you are when you're going to bed,
Mhm.
that's who you are. Turns out,
Mm.
you know.
Mhm.
And what I was anxious, insecure. I still am, of course. You know, those
Mm.
were prevalent in my life. I was confused. I was
Mhm.
So I saw things that I didn't know why I saw them, but I saw my mother.
Mm.
I saw my art, and I
Mhm.
saw a woman I was in love with, and
Mhm.
I saw all of that as my idea of myself, which again wasn't the best. And then I
Mm.
flew. After
Mhm.
I saw them in my face, I flew,
Mhm.
um, and I met the way I describe them are lighthouses with mechanical tentacles.
Mm.
And I say lighthouses because I was drawn to them. And they looked like
Oh.
lighthouses.
Oh.
And for whatever looking and physical shapes could mean.
Mhm.
Because I was as much my idea of myself as I am me in my hands and my body right now.
Mhm.
That's what psychedelics give you, is that in unarguable state.
Yes.
It's like I'm sure I am this right now. I
Right.
no doubt.
Right.
So, as my idea of myself, I met this being that was a lighthouse with mechanical tentacles. I was
Mhm.
not afraid of it hurting me in any way, because the same way my body was irrelevant, I was irrelevant to it.
Mhm.
It was beyond
Right.
caring whether or not to hurt me.
Mhm.
So that gave me a sense of comfort, but I was still my confused idea of myself. So he grabbed me. He grabbed me as, again, and started playing with me like Play-Doh. Like he was examining me and stretching me out and compressing me, almost to show me. I don't know if he was trying to show me I was irrelevant, but he's like,
Mhm.
"This is so easy." And started looking
Mm.
me up and down, and he goes, "Hey, we got another one," to his friend. He's like, "Oh, another one? Throw it here. Let me see." Throws me to him, and I felt my body. This was the only time I felt my body. When he threw me, my body did this.
Huh.
So I felt myself getting thrown.
Yeah.
And the other guy grabs me again, examines me, the same thing, and he goes, "Oh, he's not ready." And he goes, "Yeah, he's not ready. He'll be ready next time. Throw him back." And like part of me was disappointed. I was
Mm.
like, "Oh no, I'm not ready. Of course I'm not ready though."
Mm.
So in much of I was disappointed that I wasn't ready, I was like, "Of course I understand that I'm
Yeah.
not ready." I
Yes.
with this state of mind, with this idea of myself, no
Mhm.
shit, I'm not ready. So I went down, saw my friend again, who had also had done it earlier that day. He had his own experience, you know,
Mhm.
um, and I just kept walking with that, with what I saw. It was not. A lot of people tell me it was haunting them. A lot of people have.
Mm.
I think I had somewhat of a psychedelic journey that I understood what the lessons are, and I knew how to took them in certain ways.
Yes.
You know, to be again more concerned with getting myself ready than disappointed that I'm not ready.
Mhm.
You know, so
Mhm.
yeah, it's like you said, it's the fear is there. You know what I mean? The all the stuff is there. It's just you gotta know how to deal with them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and like for this is really quick. I had a friend who had a really bad trip on acid and met a lot of demons
Hmm.
and went through that. And then he told me, "Oh, I talked to my friend, and he was like, wait, you met your demons and you didn't hug them? You didn't? They're your demons. They're your. You could be friendly with them. You can talk to them, see what they want. They're part of you. Why do you not love them? You're afraid of
Mm.
your demons?"
Mm.
And that, right, exactly, it's like
Beautiful answer.
it's there's always a way to look at it that's
Yes.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's when you're not trapped in whatever ego, right?
I love that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the second time I did it, it was because
Yes.
that had been a period of time and I had told everyone about it and stuff like that.
It's
So
such a good story. Yeah.
I mean, it's the most spiritual thing I've done, if you like want to call it that. It's like
Yeah. It is.
it's whatever you think the origin of life is, or where we go when we're dead.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think that's like the big stuff.
Yes.
That's the meat. So
Yes.
I walked around with that, and I, kept doing comedy, kept living my life. It was all good, and it's funny because the second time I was not planned at all.
Mhm.
Like the first time my
Not
friend
planned by
visited,
you.
not planned by me.
Mm.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Mhm.
I had done mushrooms that day,
Mhm.
which I was like I'm a big fan. Yeah,
Yeah.
like like
Yeah.
in microdosing, all of it.
Yeah.
Big fan
Yeah.
of it.
Yes.
I think of it as medicine. It has helped
Yeah.
me so undeniably get over PTSD and
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yep.
That I prescribe it
Mhm.
on my
Mhm.
experience. So
Mhm.
had a great mushroom trip with a friend. I had a great idea of myself. It was a great trip where it was kind of like this, kind of like talking. That's why
Yeah.
talking to you is so easy. You're
Yeah.
open, and when you're on
Yeah.
mushrooms, you're open, right?
Yeah. And I've done it, right? I've seen
Yes.
it, so I
So you know the
understand.
lessons. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like you said, the lessons that stay. I bet one of the lessons was stay open to it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like that's how it goes.
Mhm.
So I did mushrooms with a friend, had a great trip, and then went and did stand up, which is
Mhm.
great on mushrooms.
Mhm.
Uh, I've had some of like the worst and like the best, like
I'll bet.
you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so I did when did stand up. Great night, had a great trip. Did stand up, hung out with some friends after, smoked some weed, and then came back. to my place with a friend and did DMT.
Yeah.
Just unplanned. Like,
Mhm.
again, the universe came through my friend to tell me to do DMT,
Yep.
and thank God I was there.
Yes.
I even was in the bathroom Googling, do you die if you do DMT on mushroom? And
Yeah.
all the comments was like, hey, man, you don't die, but hold on. And I was excited. I was willing to do it honestly because of the idea of myself thing. I'm like, right now, I have a I like myself.
Mm.
I want to do it, and I had a
Right.
beard too, which comes into play later. So I'm with my friend. She sits on the bed. She does DMT. I babysit her, walk her through it, and then it's my turn. I get on the bed. Um, and I do it, and it's more DMT than first time.
Mm.
I know that I have to keep it in longer
Hmm.
and hit it harder.
Okay.
Uh, and I tell her to do that, to make sure I do that, because I that's the same as what you got to do when you're doing it with someone. You got to make sure, even when they physically don't like feel like they can, you kind of have to like, no, take one more hit until you literally can't move,
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
So hit it, like really hit it, and honestly, like it goes into your lungs, and as it's coming out, you feel it through your
Mm.
body, and things start humming, and things start making sound. And the first time I did this happened too, but you ever have one of those TVs that you have to get up to change the channel when you
Yeah.
were a kid?
Uh-huh.
It was like that. That was what the world was. It was a bunch of little TVs, and they all together go
Wow.
like they pull you. So it was that I hit it, and I'm on my bed, and I start seeing the same things I saw in a way the first time, but now I know why I'm seeing them. I see my mom, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and then there's this cosmic pressure telling me that this world doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It is this cosmic force. Like I literally can't get off the bed because it's so powerful. Going, this life doesn't matter. And I go, and then I accept it. And I accept it through my breathing. So it started with pressure. And I go, as my answer to the pressure, which, if you think about it, it's death. It's the force telling you to accept death, and breathing is the first step of life.
Yeah.
So your counter to that is like, it makes sense, you
Yeah,
know?
it does. It does.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it goes, and it starts showing me all the things I care about in life, all the things
Mm.
I think are worthwhile, are worth being in this world for.
Mhm.
Shows me my family, my
Mhm.
mother,
Mhm.
my art, my
Mhm.
friends,
Mhm.
my my ego,
Yeah.
and then when it gets to my ego, it goes, you don't matter, your
Mm.
dick doesn't matter, like
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
cosmic pressure.
Yep.
I remember that very clearly. All the stuff that are really, it's the root chakra, right? So
Yeah.
everything keeping you in life was getting, was being cosmically pushed out of me.
Yeah.
And instead of one lighthouse with mechanical tentacles, it was like 100. And they were in my face, and they were red. Last time they were bluish color.
Wow. Okay.
This time they were red, because when
Mhm.
I took the DMT, like you were saying, you take it with a purpose, right?
Mhm.
I was like, I'm
Intention.
gonna find out exactly what it's about.
Mhm.
What is it all about? That's the most simplified answer I could a question I could think of to go
Okay.
in with.
Mm.
So I go. So again, cosmic pressure. You don't matter. And after back and forth, I go, and this is maybe the single most proudest moment of anything I've ever done.
Yeah.
I stood strong
Mm.
in their face. They
Yeah.
were like, death. And I was like, then take me.
Mm.
That death, then give me death. I
Mm.
and immediately
Mhm.
everything became calm.
Mhm.
The second I accepted death,
Mm.
everything became calm. They calmed the fuck down. No more pressure. Um, I was so in the moment. It made me understand why I like metal music. Because in the middle of everything I've been through, with metal being the perfect background music for me, in that moment I was like, no, death? Well, I'm metal. I give
Right.
me death. I think of it, who I was at that moment could be like the leader of a biker gang. You know what I mean? I could,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Alphaness, alpha
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah. It really got me in touch with that
Mm.
because metal has always been a positive aggression.
Yeah.
It's your aggression is not evil. It's you
Like a
can,
warrior kind of aggression.
yes,
A
absolutely.
heroic aggression.
Yes, it's like, and this is not related to the DMT, but it's like accepting the burden.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like you
Of
want to
the
be,
responsibility.
absolutely, you
Yeah.
think you have power, accept it's a burden to
It's
have
a huge
power.
burden. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You have to have that. So metal accepted death. They immediately calmed down. The most pressure I ever felt, communicating with my breath, shaking on the bed. And I go, I accept death. And it was calmness.
Mm.
My eyes were closed. And they go, well, what do you want?
Yeah.
And I go, I want to know. I want to know. Tell me what it's about. I want to know. And they go, well, here's the knowledge. Let's see what you do with it.
Right.
And I open my eyes and I'm the cover of a Tool album. I don't know if you it's I open my eyes and the world is golden
Yeah.
and there's eyes and portals everywhere.
Yeah.
And I remember this clear. I was laying on my bed and I looked around again, enlightened. I could see that the eyes were perspectives that I have allowed into my life.
Mm.
And I could see through them if I chose to, because I allowed them. And the portals were also different worlds that I have been open to, that I can go in and out of if I choose to in this state. And I observed, I was on the edge of my bed and the universe was there. And I remember this very clear. I was like, okay, time to figure it all out. And I remember this clear. I was laying down and I take my knee, like I take my leg and I put I sit like this, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And the reason I did that, very clearly I remember it, is
Yeah.
because I always thought I looked cool
Yeah. That's a
sitting
badass
like that.
pose. That's a
Yeah.
badass pose. That's a
So if
boss
I'm gonna
pose.
figure out the meaning of everything, might as well
Mm.
look cool
Fuck yes.
doing it. And in a way that gave me the momentum because I was like, oh, so I'm gonna do this as me. This is
Yeah.
my version. This is my take on
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And I sat there, having thoughts and having the universe light up with my thoughts. And and I was translating them into this realm as humming. So I was on the edge of my bed, sitting like this, going, hmm, hmm. The universe would go, hmm, hmm. And I would
Mm.
go, hmm, hmm. And I would make the world laugh.
Yeah.
Everything, every little molecule around me was laughing at my thoughts. And it was bliss and it was the most fun I have ever had. And in the middle of it, I was like, all right, this is fun. Wait a minute. So even when I'm enlightened, and this happens on acid, and I laugh, and I'm like, even I'm like, when you take all the bullshit out, all the
Mhm.
greed, all the ego, all the fun's still there.
Always.
Laughter is still there. Greed isn't here. Envy isn't here. Fun and laughter are the whole point of this, honestly, is
Yes.
that the second I stopped taking life seriously, everything was perfect.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what I
Yeah.
feel this is what I got. This is
Yeah.
so life is about fun.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking and having fun and laughing. And I could feel the thing go away. I could feel it because it's a gradual step going down. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm like, I could see thoughts not the most enlightened creeping in,
Yeah.
and I would breathe them out.
Mm,
I literally go, and I imagine the bad thoughts go out with the exhale, and they would be gone, and I would have more fun. They would come back, and I was like,
yeah.
so this is the meaning of life: is breathe, think, and have fun.
Yeah.
And I rejoiced. I was so happy. It was the best news. You know, they call them, like, the scripture, the
The
good.
good
Have you
news.
heard the good word? Yeah.
The good news. Yeah.
Have you heard the good news? Apparently, laughter is what it's all about.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. And I thought about this because I was like, how am I gonna end this? Because I have a trouble even on stage closing. I'm not.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm like, I have sides of me that hang on to the moment too greedily.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to work that out through this experience. So I was like,
Right.
no, I'm gonna wait for the right moment. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
know where I'm like, I got it, and I'm gonna choose to end this and choose that, to be content and grateful for this. So that's why
Right.
I kept playing until I felt, all right, time to watch The Office.
Beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
for telling that story again, because I remember you sharing this with me. We were in Queens, in Astoria, at that bar, and we're sitting outside. I think you were smoking a spliff, and there were two other comics at the table with us, but you and I were in another world.
Yeah.
And those guys were like looking at each other like, what? And I was just like, they don't get it. Like they're not a part of this trip right now.
I
And
know.
I remember loving your story. I was like, this is such a good story. And I learned like a lot from your story. And there were some parallels to visions that I've had. I don't know if you're a vivid dreamer. Like, are you able to remember your dreams?
I am not. I think it's I smoke so much weed. I think.
Yeah.
Um.
The weed does prevent that. That's why
Mhm.
I stopped smoking weed a month ago so that I could recall my dreams again.
Yep.
Because my
That's why I
dream
can't relate to Martin Luther King.
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
I
The
can't
weed gets in the
dream.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
But for me, dreams have always been a big part of my life. So that's why I was like, if this is important to me, then I have to do what I can to support it. So that's why I gave up weed. That was very difficult, but I was able to do it.
Mm.
So when you were telling me about the television, like the everything had television screens. Um, this was years ago. I was like in my early 20s. I was working at an office. I was very unhappy there. And in my dream, I was in North Korea, and it was a film festival, and it was like in a really weird, like it looked like a community recreational like lobby,
Uh-huh.
very depressing looking. And there were these round tables with like pink tablecloths over them. There were maybe 3 tables. There were maybe 12 people at the film festival. Okay. Kim Jong Un was there. He's sitting there. It might have been Kim Jong Il actually. Anyway, one of them was there. It might have been Kim Jong Il. One of them was there. One of the dictators were there. He was sitting there, and we look up, and suddenly there's no roof. It's just the night sky, and fireworks start going off. But the fireworks would burst out, and they would be television screens. The shapes of them would be television screens, and I was like, "Wow, North Korea is so cool." I remember thinking that, and I don't know if you remember this, but I just finished my PhD in film and television studies at UCLA, and my dissertation is on television.
Uh-huh.
It's on Korean television. And in it, I examine masculinity. The texts that I'm looking at are comedy variety shows. So I'm looking at masculinity and queerness and nationalism. Those are the things that I'm looking at. So I was like, oh, it's so fascinating to me that, he saw television screens. Because I was wondering, like, what is a television? Why do we call it television? We have this word telepathy when
Right.
we can access one another's minds without words, without touching or communicating or being near one another. So having distance but being able to connect, and it's a vision. You all see the same thing. And television is now globalized. Like we all, as a globe, we see everything, you know? But perspectives vary, right? We're all watching
Mhm.
the same fucking thing. Like we
Right.
see the same fucking movie Jaws, but people have different opinions about it, right? It's like the same thing. So, like, I don't know, this vision that you had with the televisions, and then later with the portals, the eyes and everything. Like, an eye is a television, right? A
Mhm.
portal is a television is a portal, and a portal is a television. It's like visions and perspectives are things that we can choose to see. Like if they describe it, we could choose to see what they see, but ultimately we're not going to see exactly what they see. Everybody's stance and angle is different, right? And so it's
Mhm.
not going to be 100% that, but that's still awesome because there's a variety, and we could talk about that. It's like, oh, you're saying you see that, I see this,
Right,
and
right,
they're like,
right.
oh, I do kind of see that now. And in that way, we're kind of expanding one another's visions.
Absolutely.
And there's some massive beauty to that. I love that.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, you are the sum of your influences, and like what every little bit like helps, really.
Yeah. It does.
Everyone has a little bit of the answers. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I I wanted to do this. Sorry. I
Can I
wanted to do
smoke
this.
on this? Oh, I don't
Yeah,
have
of
to.
course. No, of
Yeah?
course.
Okay, okay,
Please,
okay.
please, by all means. I wanted to do this for a really long time, but I wasn't able to, and I was finally able to do it last week, I think on Wednesday. And I took an eighth of albino mushrooms
Uh-huh.
and I took it to the beach. And I was walking. Actually, I have to go back. Let me first tell you this.
Mhm.
I had this dream. Did I tell you this? I had a dream about like a hotel. Well, whatever. You smoke a lot of pot, you probably forgot it. I had this dream that I was at a hotel. I was at a hotel with my friend Sam, and we were looking out of my hotel room, and we saw another hotel facing us. And the hotel that was facing us was pink and green, and it looked like Las Vegas-y, gaudy. Like the architecture was ridiculously too much. And I said to Sam, I was like, "That's a very tacky looking hotel." And he was like, "What's so tacky about it?" And I said, "Oh, I have to be specific now." So I was like, well, look at the way that window is dressed with the plant. And I wanted to describe the specificities of it, but before I could even say it, the hotel would physically like morph in front of me. And the description I wanted to say changed. So whatever judgment and criticism I wanted to make was moot, gone. And I was standing there speechless, and I was like, okay, like I understand. I understand. The lesson was any art, any creation is beautiful because it's an expression and it takes bravery. What right do you have to talk shit? And I was like, all right, that's okay. That's big. Okay, thank you. And then Sam was like, come upstairs with me. Come upstairs with me. And I was like, I can't. I gotta go. And he's like, no, no, no. Just it's gonna take a second. Come upstairs with me. I go upstairs with him, and there were all these squatters. I don't know who they are, but they're like sitting there. They look like burnouts, and they're just sitting around. And it was very dirty. There was like building crumbs everywhere, and there was this big piece of like yellow foam, like some insulator or something, and it had shit all over it. It was like shit stained. And I looked at it, and I felt embarrassed and ashamed. And Sam takes the phone and goes, "Don't worry about this. This isn't you. Like, why do you? Don't worry about this." And I was like, okay, thank you. Thanks. And that was the end of the dream. And I texted Sam a couple days later. I was like, this is the dream I had with you. And he was like, I'm glad I was able to be there with you, which was very sweet of him to say. But the dream of me judging art right? No matter how tacky it is, pink and green.
Hmm.
That I keep seeing that in my wakeful state. So shortly after that dream, I was in Portland. I was on the road to do shows. I was in Portland and I was at an Airbnb and I'm sitting at the dining table eating and I turned to my right and there's a painting and I was looking at it like I was looking at a window and I was like, what a tacky painting. And the colors of the painting were pink and green. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, Grace, the dream told you the lesson, didn't it? And here you are. This is your wakeful state. That's number two. It's a reinforcement of the first lesson. I was like, okay, all right, thank you. And then recently I was in DC on the road again at an Airbnb and I was like looking at all the, they have artwork up and I'm like looking at this one artwork. It was like a pashmina. They took a pashmina and they like framed it. And I was like, I don't know about that. And the pashmina was pink and green. I was like, okay, okay, thank you. Thanks.
I got it. Yeah.
I got it. And then I come back to my place and I'm sitting on my couch and I'm like, doing my thing. And I look up directly ahead of me and I have a painting that I painted last year. Last year. And the background is magenta pink and it has a green mountain and there's a little orange dinosaur in there. And I'm like, oh my God, I was talking shit about myself this whole time and projecting it outwards and thinking I'm talking shit about other people. It's got to do with me. It's me that I'm judging. And it's like, again, I already got this lesson many times before. My big thing is judgment and criticism. It's so heavy in my head. This
Hmm.
authority voice saying, just judging the shit out of everybody when it's actually all me. I'm judging me. I'm hard on myself, right? And
Yes.
when you're talking about the alpha thing and this like, sort of this, how do I say it? Like sort of glorious sort of like, I want to say magnetic or like it's like that's magnitude to this
Epic.
alpha
Like, yeah, yeah,
epic
yeah.
sort of like awe inspiring kind of alpha figure that you're describing. And you know I have that drill sergeant in me who's yelling and screaming at me all the time. And alongside that drill sergeant, I have this little girl, this little kid.
Hmm.
And all she likes to do is one thing. She just likes to play, not giving a fuck about time or pressures or responsibilities or deadlines. She just wants to play. She likes to go outside, dig around in the dirt, you know, And my therapist said to me, she's like, when you are able to take those two archetypes in you and fold them together, she's like, that's when the healing happens. That's when the healing of your traumas happen because you need both. You need the inner child
Hmm.
being the inner being, the
Hmm.
untouchable, impenetrable, the God you. You
Hmm.
need that. The drill sergeant part of you is technically the ego. It's your defense mechanisms. It's the person who protects you.
Hmm.
And you got to learn to let them coexist, right? Because the ego isn't, again, it's like hugging those demons. It's not to be hated, it's not to
Right.
kill, it's to recognize and acknowledge,
Mm.
right? Like when our ego gets slighted all the time because we have social media. Like, oh, like why didn't they, like follow me back? Or
Right.
why did they unfollow me? It's like the ego is hurt, but
Hmm.
it's like that's just the ego. The inner being part that
Yeah.
keeps on going no matter what is always there and impenetrable. So
Absolutely.
by focusing on that inner being, I'm able to heal my ego or at least dial down the voice of the ego being like, what the fuck, right?
Well, the ego is why you shower and why you eat, and you know what I mean. Why, when you see someone, part of you goes, "I'm worthy of their time,"
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And living without any ego, it's like ego is power and a burden.
Yeah.
If you think, once I started thinking of it that way, largely from the DMT trip, of like, no, this is a responsibility
Yeah.
to like not necessarily to not inflict harm, but well, you have it's like there's a lot of people talk about self love. There's a lot of self simping happening
Mm. Mm.
around on social media. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
And it's because of kind of like you're saying the taking the side of the inner child 100% over the authority, which is maybe your parents or whatever
Mhm.
trauma,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So it's like recently I was helping my friend move, and I remember when I was a kid, my whenever like anything physical, fixing things around the house, my dad would teach me, but he would yell at me for
Mm.
doing anything wrong.
Mhm.
And I could see, I'm having problems with my friend, like not doing things fast enough. I'm like, I'm my dad. I'm
Yeah.
literally, yeah. I said something. I'm like, sorry, dude. My dad said that to me right now, and I said it to you. So I apologize. That wasn't even me talking.
I
And
love
I
that.
relate so much to what you're saying. It's like you ever feel embarrassed on behalf of someone?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what am I doing? It's kind of like you see someone else's shit on something else. I'm like, I'm embarrassed for you, for you shitting in public.
Our audiences feel that way whenever we bomb on stage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's
Yeah.
like, and the ego makes you go, hey, maybe I can, like, you can't live in that. You
No.
gotta accept the burden of occupying someone's imagination for 10
Mhm.
minutes, that responsibility.
Mhm.
It's like everyone wants to be a king. King being, it's a power, it's
Yeah.
you have the world on your shoulders.
Yes.
It's not just the cast, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think what you're saying, reconciling the two, makes you go, yeah, I will accept, I will seek this with the righteousness.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
righteousness is a word that I like throw around a lot in my head. It's like,
Mm.
are you doing this for the right reasons? Are you doing
Mm.
this right? You
Mm.
know, it's like that's been like a good compass as well.
And the righteousness and the right coming from the inner being, not the ego voice.
Well, like you said, reconciliation, right?
Uh,
Because the reason to leave the house is ego immediately.
right.
I
Right.
feel like the second the doctor slapped you and you started crying,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's ego. It's like,
Attention. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like now, um, it's the same. It's like when you're in someone's life, like when you're doing a set is like it's like a conduce. It's like a version, a very heightened version of the time with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like again, the ego is useful. The ego is a tool. You should, and the demons are yourself feeling upset, feeling demonified by your trauma,
Mhm.
right?
The
It's like,
shame.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all the times you were told pink and green look really bad on you or something,
Mhm.
and you internalize it and you're like,
Mhm.
I hate pink and green now because
Yeah.
otherwise the world hurts too much. And you can take that. Yeah.
Because otherwise the world hurts too much. That's so funny. That is so good. It's like, yeah, like, why are you judging everybody? It's like, because the world hurts too much. That is so good.
Yeah.
To,
And yeah.
bring it, I guess, closer to it's not a full circle yet because it's
Uh-huh.
I'm still alive, but, to bring it right? To continue on with the shape, though, when I went to the beach and I took the mushrooms, I
Mhm,
was the beach is very big, and I was, like, looking for the right spot. And I tend to look for isolated places
mhm.
because I wanted to be alone. I enjoy alone time. It's a very like sacred time for me. And I'm walking, 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 and I see grass. And I'm like, oh shit, it's grass. Like I want to be near the grass. Like it's by the beach, and I get the grass. Like that's awesome. And I
Uh-huh.
go, and I stop thinking about the grass. I set up everything, and I'm on my mushrooms, and I'm tripping, and it's like everything's beautiful, and it's like a lot. It's intense. The colors at the beach are intense. And then I turn around and I look at the grass, and it's not grass. It's a type of succulent, and it's green and it's pink. And I'm looking at and I'm looking at this beach carpet of succulents, and they're so beautiful, and they're, like, right in my fucking face, like, my head was right there, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a lot," this is a lot, right? But it was awesome. And when I was there, my intention there was, how do I forgive? That was the
Mm,
question. I was like,
mm.
how do I forgive?
What
And
a
the
great
answer,
little sign from the universe to remind you of that, right? The little,
yeah, you're right.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't even think of it that way, but you're right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like you can forgive in the exact same way.
You
And
learn. It's all a skill. It's like, oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
that's good insight. Thank you for that. Thank
Oh,
you
for
for that.
sure. I had a friend who was telling me about a psychedelic experience she had, and she was like, I saw a lot of cockroaches that
Whoa.
weren't there. And she
Whoa.
goes, now sometimes I see cockroaches that aren't there. But she tells me, yeah, but now I know that that means that there's something that I need
Yes.
to take care
There's
of.
something off. There's something
You know,
off.
yeah. So God bless her for
Mm.
interpreting something like that
Oh,
in
it's
such a
so
beautiful way, right?
good. It's so
Yeah.
good. And I 100% agree with you when you said that the universe and God just wants you to laugh. Because when I was on my you know, on the beach doing this thing with the forgiveness thing, I was like, how do I forgive? And the answer was, what is there to forgive?
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as wrong?
Well,
Even if somebody punched you in the face and said, Grace, I fucking hate you. You suck. You're the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. It's not personal. It's all about them.
yes.
Got nothing to do with me.
Hmm.
And if that is the case, what is there to forgive? And I started remembering all, like, former bosses. I started thinking about ex-boyfriends. I started thinking about friends, my sibling. I was thinking about all these people. And I was just like, yeah, what is there to forgive? Like, it was just like, their story and you know why they do what they do. And if you're
Hmm.
aware of that, and if and when they wrong you, is there anything to forgive? There isn't.
Well,
And then,
it's
yeah. And I was just like, well, all right, then. Okay, fine. And then, it was just like God, the universal God created everything just so that God can laugh. God likes laughing. Everything's hilarious to God.
yeah.
It's like I was like, when people set out to work and collaborate with somebody and that other person says, I can't collaborate with you. It's not personal. It's just because that vision doesn't fit their vision and they just want to
Hmm.
go do their other thing. And if and when people do create, there's a lot of tension and friction and it takes a lot of effort to bring things together, right? To create something.
Sure, sure, sure.
It's difficult like that. It's challenging like that because it's funny to God. It's absolutely absurd that these two pressures are forcing themselves to align so that they can make something
Which is
beautiful.
like almost impossible, and yet we
Impossible.
still make it work.
We do it all the time. We
Yeah, yeah,
fucking do
yeah.
it all the time. It's like, I know
Hmm.
this person's not right for me. Why am I like attracted to them? Or I hate this fucking person because XYZ, but I need this person because they fit the other pieces and I gotta make it work. And we do it all the time. And in that, what's required is forgiveness all the
Hmm.
time, right? It's like
Hmm. Hmm.
I and it's not even forgiveness. I was like redefining what forgiveness was for me because I thought forgiveness was this social construct that they kept saying, "Well, this is how you forgive." And I'm like, none of that makes sense, and that's why it was so hard. And then I realized forgiveness is all it is just acceptance of who they are and letting them be who they are and knowing who and what they are and also allowing myself to be forgiven by them, right? To allow myself to be known,
Hmm.
and that's how we work and that's how we create, and that's absurd and it's fucking funny. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, and what else? I was like, I'm going to remember all the times that people were God, meaning even the worst fucking individual I ever met, there were moments when they said something fucking profound and I was like, whoa, that's God. And I was like, if I only remember the times they were God and I forget the other shit, then what is there to forgive, right? So I was like, okay, then this is all absurd and funny. I was like, yeah, God likes to laugh.
Hmm.
And if and when I walk away, because I had to ask myself that, I was like, why did I leave him? I was thinking about this ex-boyfriend of mine who I realized I'm starting to like be more like. He was a lot older than me at the time. And I was like, why did I leave him? And the answer was because I stopped laughing. And I was like, there's only God in laughter when things are
Oof.
good and fun. And when
Oof.
shit is dark and heavy and there's zero light and there's no purpose for that dark and heaviness, then there is no God. Even when there's sadness and dark and heaviness and anguish and there is still process and there's meaning and there's the effort that we accept it as a challenge and we're fearless in it, then God is still there, right? So I was just
Uh-huh.
like, all right, this is dope. I get it. And I had a fucking blast at the beach. Thanks for
Kind
listening to that.
of.
It was long, but
Oh,
thanks.
that was so good. I stopped laughing. That hit hard. I
Yeah.
gotta tell you. I just stopped laughing. That
I
is
stopped laughing.
profound.
That's why I had to leave.
I completely get that. One thing I got from tripping a lot, the joke of life. Like really, if you really want to sum it down, and
Yeah.
this is gets to what I got was life doesn't have to matter. It might, but it doesn't have to. And as much of that I think you get, the funnier you are, or the
Oh
more
yeah.
able you are to laugh, at
Oh
least.
yeah.
Norm
Oh yeah.
Macdonald, God rest his soul, said
Yeah.
a thing where he's like, if you go up and tell a joke and they laugh, they laughed,
Yeah.
it worked. But if
Yeah.
you bomb, the fact that you were trying to get a laugh and failed is hilarious. It's funny. So you're good. God is laughing no matter what.
No matter what.
Yeah, and
Literally.
the thing you said about the relationship really hit hard because one thing I had to come to realize that was honestly like it is so I had to like it's so obvious, right? But I really had to learn it literally doesn't matter if I'm honest if it's not coming from love. Like I look back on things, I'm like, every statement was true and I believed it and I was revealing the contents of my heart with no filter because I believe that's. I'm like, yeah, but was love first there?
Right.
So the formula I kind of got, and the like for relationships and like in general communication is love, then honesty, then freedom.
That's so good. And honest, you're bringing me so much healing right now. Because can I share
Same.
something?
Yeah.
3 years ago, it's 2011. Yeah, 3 years ago, this time, like right now, October 3 years ago, I was in a relationship with this guy in Berlin. And he and I had a thing in LA, and he moved back to Berlin, and I happened to be in Berlin, and we sort of rekindled things. And we had a great, like, it didn't last long. It was like a great month,
Oh.
but he, like a lot of young men, right, can't commit.
Mhm.
They let the fear overtake them and they can't accept love and they don't want to give love and they run the fuck away, right? So it got to that. And he and I ended things. We broke up. And we broke up 1 week after my first acid trip. So I was in this place of like no ego and accepting everything. And I didn't really say everything I needed to say. But of course, after we ended things, for the next month, I was just in complete misery and hell. And I was just like angry at him. And I had to go to London for a conference. And he happened to be in Cambridge. So he met me in London. And when I saw him, I was like, I had all this pent up rage and I have to say my piece. So I said all these things to him. Um, and I was just like, when you say things to me like how you want to be in a commitment, but I'm not the one that you want to be committed to, it's like a very rude thing to say to somebody. Um, and yeah, I was just like, that didn't sit right with me because when you were breaking up with your girlfriend to be with me, you said the same thing to her. And I was just like, wow, that was probably a really hurtful thing to hear when he broke up with her. And now I'm hearing it. And I'm just letting you know that that was fucked up and it was rude of you and you're an asshole. And he was like, do you want me to accommodate your feelings or do you want me to tell you the truth? And I said, what makes you think that your truth is the truth? What makes you think that your truth is so fucking important that my feelings don't matter? Maybe for once in your life, think about my feelings and don't think so much about your truth, your so called truth. And he looked at me like blown away.
Yeah. Putting something in front of like see the way I think about it, it's like every time you see someone, you're giving them the opportunity, right? It's like I can get swept off my feet by anyone, please.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
mhm.
Um, what I have found is that again, it's not real honesty. Like the difference between
Exactly.
truth and honesty is
Miles apart.
actually yeah. It's because we're not robots.
We're not.
Like I would always say this to my ex, would be like, you don't owe anyone or me anything,
Mm,
right? Because
mhm.
she had a lot of guilt about like what she owed the world and stuff like
Mm.
that. Now you know the saying, love is two people pointing guns at each other, daring the other not to shoot.
Yeah.
So what I heard, I think it was Seinfeld said, he's like, every morning I take my gun and my badge, I put them on the table, and I walk away with my hands out. I'm like,
Mm.
I'm not trying to shoot anyone.
And you're surrendering.
Yeah. So that's honestly what I've found to be the answer to that kind of stuff, because then you get to a point where like, hey, you shot me in the leg. Hey, you fired in the air. So what am I gonna do? Not shoot you in the leg? Well, you shot me in the leg. What am I gonna do? Not point the gun in
Right.
your head and shoot.
Right.
So it becomes that, right?
Right.
So it's like um we do each owe each other shit. Like
Yeah.
that I think would be my point, is at the end of the day, it's cool. I maybe it's nice to not think the world owes you anything, and it doesn't.
Mhm.
But um in the same way, I have again problems with betrayal and stuff. I lost friends during the war, and
Mhm. Yeah.
through a lot of things. Like I
Yeah.
had traumatic experience with like childhood friends. We had
Right.
political differences, and it got
Right.
ugly. Like
Mhm.
to a point where I just couldn't. So I have a problem. I have
Mhm.
trusting issues for
Mm.
sure.
Mhm.
So even that guy, I bet he has a lot of reasons for why he can't commit. Like we all have that, right?
Mhm.
So it's like um truth, it, like when you say truth, if it's not love, you are presenting love. When you're with someone, when you're involving yourself in someone's life,
Mhm.
you are pretending that love is coming first. So
Mm.
a truth without that is a betrayal.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
that's the way I reconciled with it,
Mhm.
where I was like, yeah, you were telling the truth, but you were also no longer in love with her, and you just failed to say that.
Mm.
So your truth in the middle of you trying to, it's, I always say this, the biggest lies aren't the ones that are 1% truth and 99% lie. The biggest lies are 99% truth,
Mhm.
1% lie.
So good.
So it's like the that's the biggest lie, is the one where you're almost completely convinced it's true.
And it comes from the ego's righteousness and a desire to protect yourself and hurt them.
Yes.
And what you're saying is so important because, again, the answer comes down to love, right?
Mm,
That's why Christ was like love, and everybody's
of
always saying
course.
love, right? Um, when I was, you know, on mushrooms in March, it was an intense trip. I kept beating myself up, going like, "Why am I so arrogant? Why am I so arrogant?" And my friends were like, "Grace, arrogance isn't all bad. Sometimes it shows confidence and leadership." And I was like, I understand now. When there's no love, then it's arrogance. But as soon as you add love to arrogance, then it becomes confidence and leadership.
You have to be psychotically confident and also humble.
Yeah.
Yes, it's crazy. It's literally insane. But that's what you gotta do. You gotta
It's the impossibility that makes the thing that is hilarious. That is the right thing.
right.
So good.
Yeah.
I love what you say, this
Yeah.
truth lie thing, man. And
Yeah.
then in that moment also when you were like being truthful to your ex, you weren't being honest to yourself, right?
Yeah. I always say pretending is the disease of humanity. It's really comes down to the pretending. And in a lot of moments, you're like, I said the truth. Yeah, but all of it?
Yeah.
Not really.
Nah, not really.
So again, any omitting of anything, you once you are honest with yourself, are like that was a lie. Like then you, I feel like everything is balanced. like everything is as equally my fault as it is everyone else's, and everything else is me being cool.
Like, no, when you were talking, no, I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say because what you just said was so fucking funny. The me being cool thing. Can I tell you? You know, my paternal grandmother she's dead now, but she was in South Korea. When I was a kid, I was terrified of her. She was a farmer, so she lived out on a farm, and she would sit like this, that cool pose that you did. She
Yeah,
would
yeah,
sit
yeah.
like this all day, smoking tobacco out of a long ass pipe, like a long metal pipe with a beautiful, perfect, neat bun. She would just smoke all fucking day. And I was terrified of this woman, but I was like enamored by her because I was like, she looks so fucking cool. Like, it's like my eternal goal, like to strive for that
Yeah,
level of I don't give a fuck,
yeah.
and all that matters is me and my pipe. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. Truth transforms, right? Because in the moment, whatever you're saying that is true feels true, but the moment passes and that truth is no longer true
Mm-hmm.
because of
Mm-hmm.
time, because of
Mm-hmm.
time, and because of perspectives and relationships, and because the present moment is gone. So
Mm-hmm.
truth is always transforming. Whereas with
Well,
honesty, it's like with you at all times, so you're always going to be confronting your honesty. Honesty is
right.
about presence, and truth is not present. Truth always transforms, and that's how it becomes lies eventually.
Well, everything is subjective, like literally, right?
Mhm.
So it's like you really can't find an ultimate, like good and evil.
Mm,
Like if you think about like the things we think of as good and evil, it really
yeah.
comes down to humanity and not going extinct.
Mhm.
Because that's why it's like, what's evil? Murder. It's like, yeah, if you murder too much, we might go extinct. So hey, don't murder. It's like, all right, man. It's like,
All right. All right. Sorry. I'll stop.
yeah, yeah, my bad. It's like, well, you can't steal. Well, why? Well, if everyone's just stealing, we might go extinct. We might not
Mm.
reach immortality. It's like, all right, let's not steal.
So it's about survival. It's
I
it's like
really think it
this
comes down to,
Darwinian kind of thing. Good and evil came
yeah,
out of this survival thing. Okay.
right. And that I
Interesting.
think comes down like truth and concepts that are kind of like that also have like a like it's like that where it's like truth is what you need to survive most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of times if you say something, it's really like no one is harder on you than yourself. I have
Right.
literally
Mhm.
found that with everyone.
Everybody.
It's like, oh, you think you don't deserve, it's all the
Mhm.
guilt of religion,
Mhm.
and it's
Mhm.
all of it, right?
Mhm.
So the guilt it's like you berating yourself for being so weak that this would happen to you. There's like stuff like that where it's like it gets down to what are you really guilty about. It's really you not loving yourself enough. Like you were saying, what is there to forgive? It's like,
Mhm.
right,
Yeah.
it's like just if you love yourself enough,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Exactly.
And it's the truth and lying thing, it's whatever in the moment you need to convince yourself you're a good person in
Mm.
a lot of ways. So it's like the work on that has to be, it's like homework. It's not a
Mhm.
practical, like if someone asks you, and this would be the point I was trying to get to, if someone asks you if you're happy,
Mhm.
whatever your answer is to that question is the answer. Like if you go yes, you're happy. At least that's the truth in that moment. Even if something inside says no, well, you expressed yes, so it was more powerful than the no. So I that would be my. It's like in the, are you like in the moment, your answer, that is the truth.
I think you and I have enough powers to start a cult in
I
upstate
thought
New
this what this
York.
was. Yeah, yeah.
They would come and flock over just to hear us talk. 100%. These fucking hippie whites. They would be down. They're like, what, a Korean and a Syrian, and they're gonna talk about this shit? I am so in. Take all my money.
So
I'm
I did
gonna yeah,
acid. Oh,
yeah.
do you need to do
No, no,
anything?
no, no, go ahead, tell me.
I
What
did
about acid?
acid at a music festival recently
What kind of
in
music? Metal?
upstate.
Metal music?
Well, no, it was more like folky rock, like
Oh,
very
like gentle
camping.
shit. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay.
I was thankful, like God invited me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
To a friend who met someone. Da da da. You want to do this?
that is
Yes.
God. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
God
I did
calling.
a
Uh-huh.
set and everything. It was amazing.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah, yeah. And I was loving it. I met so many cool people,
Yeah,
like people I would never think of meeting,
yeah,
different like people that I'm go, you're gonna contribute to world peace.
yeah.
And people also I'm like, you're a serial killer and you do this music festival thing on the side. It was the whole spectrum. And I was doing acid by the fire, thinking of everything and working shit out. And at a moment, I was like looking at everyone and like kind of semi roasting them, like noticing like funny faults about them.
Yeah,
And I was like, what? I can't even enjoy this peaceful moment, big fire, acid. Like, well, you have, then I started laughing at that.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I find being able to laugh at it, whatever it is, it's like the skill. It's like the skill
It
to
is the best skill.
because I was feeling guilty about not
Oh,
being able to enjoy the hospitality of these people,
oh,
and then I laughed
fascinating.
at it. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
ridiculous. It's a
It's
ridiculous
ridiculous.
idea.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah.
My friend Mike Rose, he's a comic and he's also into psychedelics, and he said this. He was like, I want to normalize crying, and I was like, crying and laughing are the exact same mechanism. Both release tension in the
Yeah.
body physically. They open up the same things in our faces, our sinuses, makes tears well up, makes snot come out, you emit sound. Your breathing gets irregulated when you're
Yes.
crying and laughing. And it's the exact same thing. Actually, that's the title of my dissertation, my first book. It's Crying Laughing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell
And how
yeah.
similar they are. And the more we laugh, you know, it, the more we become regulated physically and therefore mentally and emotionally.
Absolutely. It's so funny you say that. Whenever like I was helping my friend move, it's like his last night here and everything, and I couldn't help but cry. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're just like, we live together. We're like you're so kind to me. You're so nice. And I have a thing where like I never had a brother, always wanted one. Like
Mm,
I like I'm like, why are you not like? I'm like, why are you? I'm like, whenever I say goodbye to a friend, I get emotional. I want to say
yeah.
unapologetically, but no, apologetically, I get emotional, and I go, why am I like too da da da? But that was very healing what you said, where I'm like, no, it's like I should be more proud. I get to express that love, in that
It
way.
is an expression of love. That's first beautiful, first and most important thing. And it's literally your body. Like we have to be grateful to this mechanism. It's our body regulating ourselves,
Tension, yeah, it's like all
releasing
the
tension.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
People
you
who
should
don't
be
cry,
microdosing,
uh,
crying.
people. Oh, you and I should come up with a certain breed of mushrooms called crying. And they could literally
Yes,
microdose off of that. Yeah.
yes. In the
Um,
cults, hell yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah, crying is very important. And, people who don't know how to cry, there are some people who literally can't physically cry because
Right.
they're so repressed that they can't do it. The fact that you have that mechanism, I mean, that's something to
I
be grateful to yourself for, right? Thank
Yeah,
you.
some people, yeah, exactly. Everything that I'm like, because I cry and I get embarrassed, like, no, 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 hug your demons.
Hug your demons. It's not even a demon. Actually, it's just a
Right.
little sad, little cute
Yes.
monster. And it,
That put a little facial, like, demon like thing on front of it so you don't come too close because it's afraid.
It's afraid, man.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for 8,000 years.
Right back at
And
you.
we will continue to talk for 8,000 years. Um, I always close out with a series of flashcard questions.
Okay.
Because it's called K-Drama School. The show I'm talking about is called Till the End of the World. Just realizing the epicness of that title. But
Perfect.
so I'm just gonna ask you like some premises and then what you would do in that moment if you were this person. Okay? All right. So
Hit me.
you're a high school girl named Seohee, okay? You're an orphan. You
Okay.
lived at this orphanage all your life. The orphanage is like your home. And the orphanage director is a woman and she has a son named Sejun. And Sejun is in college and he likes you a lot and you like him. So you guys start dating. But the orphanage director, who you used to look to as a mother figure, tells you not to date her son because she doesn't think you're good enough for her son. What do you do?
Oh, I would disregard the woman completely, and I would trust the man to make his own goddamn decisions.
Okay.
Um, and it's like uh, I'm not good enough for your son. No, I would not take that. No, no, no.
Hmm.
I would forgive her. I would try. I would be bigger. Like, hey, you can think that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, it's I in general. It's like I find family irrelevant in that way. You know, it's
Oh
like
yeah, I agree. Okay,
yeah,
very good. Okay, so let's say
yeah.
it's the other way around. You're Sijin, you're the guy, you're the college
Uh-huh.
boy,
Uh-huh.
and you find out that your mother just kicked out your girlfriend from the orphanage,
Uh-huh.
telling her that she's not enough, not good
Uh-huh.
enough for you. What do you do?
Oh, I trust my mother completely. I would. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love my mother, and she's
Yeah,
my superhero in many ways.
yeah,
Like in
yeah.
so many ways, she's so powerful. But I
Right.
also understand her flaws, and I understand that she
Mm,
doesn't know everything. So I would continue with what I want to do.
okay.
Yeah.
Dope. All right, setting boundaries with love. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you're Sahi again. You're this high school chick, but
Huh.
you're like 19 years old, okay? And you've been working hard, a bunch of part-time jobs, and you're like trying to save up enough money to go to college, okay? You meet a guy, not this nice boy, a different
Uh-huh.
guy.
Mhm.
He's rich and he's such an asshole, okay? He invites you over to his house and you go over thinking that there's a job. Unfortunately, what he ends up doing is he rapes you.
Mhm.
He bones you against your will, and you become pregnant with his kid. What do you do?
Okay, first of all, I'll be like, I was spent 19 years in a
Orphanage?
orphanage, and I don't know about rape. God damn it! I need to read more. I would.
Yeah,
Also, I mean, at that point, if the world did me that wrong,
yeah.
um, I hope I don't go to a dark place.
Mm.
Um, but I would try to. I would well see. Here's the thing. Do I what do I want? Do I want the kid or do I not? That's like a very because I would like if the decision is this. Like I was like, oh, you have the kid and you blackmail the guy and blah blah blah. It's like no, no, no. It's I would probably start the Me Too movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good, good, good. All right, all right, all right. All right, so this piece of shit who raped you, okay? He's
Yeah.
like, "I'm sorry. Look, I'm sorry I raped you. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I am obsessed with you and you have my baby now. Like we have to live together."
Uh-huh.
And again, you have no money, you have no prospects. I mean, and you're like, "Fine. Fine." So you guys move in together. But then this rich guy's parents find out that he is shacking up with you, a poor girl with nobody, no family,
Uh-huh.
nothing, who got knocked up because their son's a piece of shit rapist.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And the rich family says, if you live with this woman, we're cutting you off of all your money. And so now this rapist guy, whose one thing he had was money, he's now a
Uh-huh.
port. He's broke as shit,
Uh-huh.
and you guys are living together. What do you do?
Okay. I would feel like I owe this guy nothing, on the count of the raping. Uh, so I think I would take what I am owed from this sad excuse of a human being in any way I could, and I would go to his parents, and be like, "Well, this is still your blood.
Ah,
Fuck you for raising a man that can't. Uh, like this is your fault. Like, oh, you should be in on this. Like, no, you are. This is your responsibility too, mother. Like,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
would I would go in with that attitude."
Okay, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Guns
naked
blazing.
too. Yes.
Naked, full third trimester, full belly. Just
Yeah,
show up.
put
Be
my
like, this
belly
is
on the table.
all.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
I would.
Okay. Yeah, you should have written this show. Okay.
I would wait
All right.
for the baby to come, put it
Mm.
right in their face.
Right in their fucking face. You can't
Yeah,
deny it. This is your fucking blood. Yeah.
yeah,
Good.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. You're Sejun now. You're that college boy that was in love with Sahi. You're the nice
Uh-huh,
one, okay?
uh-huh, uh-huh,
You find out that your the woman you love got raped by this guy and is
uh-huh,
pregnant, and now
uh-huh.
they're shacking up together. What do you do?
I will say this. It is my responsibility to offer her an option where she doesn't have to do that. As
Hmm.
if I'm really honest with myself,
Mm.
if she needed to do that,
Mhm.
it's again also on the I. It's like on the count that it's like 50% she didn't never heard a rape, uh, and 50% I whatever if I was offering her life, if I
Yeah.
was offering her to be mine,
Yeah.
was I doing that with no with such a lack of responsibility for what constructing a life is, that I expect her to not, you know what I mean? So I would accept the responsibility that if I'm really in love with this person, it doesn't matter, and if she's really in love with me, she would read more. You know what I mean? Something like that. Uh, and I,
You're stupid is the problem. You
yeah,
don't read, you dumb
yeah.
bitch. That's the problem.
No, I would probably be like, all right, why did I not be such? I always think of myself, and this is like I have two sisters, and there was this
Uh.
song. But point is, I want to be a harbor. I want to be like a place you can put your ship and
Mm.
feel safe.
That's so nice.
I want to be an oasis. So if
Yeah.
I'm not doing that, what expectations? What right do I have to expect anything from
Ah,
the world?
very good. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. And Misha, you already are that. You are a harbor and an oasis, FYI.
Oh,
Okay.
you're too kind. Yeah.
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 Okay. All right. So Sejun, the nice
Uh-huh.
guy, he gets
Uh-huh.
into a fight with this rapist piece of shit, okay? And the rapist piece of shit smashes a glass bottle into Sejun's face, and Sejun goes blind, okay? He he goes blind. He lost his fucking eyesight.
Uh-huh.
This poor fucker. He
Uh-huh.
lost his
Uh-huh.
eyesight, okay?
Uh-huh.
And you're Sahi, the young woman, and you find out that the man you're living with, who raped
Mhm.
you, who was the father of your child,
Uh-huh.
blinded the love of your life, okay?
Uh-huh.
At the same time, you go to the doctor and you're fucking pregnant. And the doctor says, you have leukemia. You're going to die in a couple weeks.
Well,
What do you
you
do?
say, well, I would find this guy named Jesse Pinkman. I would be like, all right, time.
He knows something about grief.
Yes. Also, back to the guy. So it's like, one, you really love this girl and a guy raped her and you let him live. Go fuck yourself.
Mm.
Second of all, you're gonna go confront the guy. Learn jujitsu. The same way, read a book. It's like you're going to confront a rapist. Bring a pocket knife, man. It's like some of this is like you could do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the lady gets leukemia. I would be like, all right, this is obviously cursed, this whole life of mine. So might as well, like, I don't know, cut the guy's dick, the rapist's dick, while he's sleeping, eat it while he's watching me, and then I don't know, like kill him in another gruesome way,
Uh-huh.
uh, and then fucking. I don't know. She's gonna die. I'm gonna die before the baby is born, or is there a chance to save the baby?
You could save the baby.
Oh, well, then I would bet everything probably on the baby. I would start writing a memoir, maybe make a vlog, leaving clues. Like, hey, if a guy is giving a rapey vibe and he's like, come to my place, be
Oh,
sure,
go.
yeah, bring a gun. Bring, I
Bring
don't
a
know,
gun.
yeah,
He
yeah,
has a rapey vibe. Bring some weapons.
yes, I think women should carry guns. I
Yeah.
think that's like, and men should know jujitsu. I think that should be law. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Keep the baby, give it the best life possible while I'm dying.
Uh, okay. Because that's
Yeah,
what more could a mother do who's
yeah,
dying? Okay.
yeah.
Last question. Last question. So you're Sijin again. You're the poor fucker who's blinded
Blind now. Yeah.
by your ex-girlfriend's rapist.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, you you had surgery for your eyes and you wake up and you can see. And
Hmm.
the doctor says that your ex-girlfriend died and she donated her eyes and that's why you're able to see right now. That her
Uh,
eyes are in your fucking head right now.
uh-huh.
What do you do?
I go, fresh start, baby, clean slate. No guilt, no harm, no foul. You know, she did break my heart, but these eyes are pretty nice, so I think we're even. I will carry the lessons with me, and God bless America.
Very good. Very good. That's it. That's the end of the Flashcard series. Thanks,
Hell
Misho.
yeah. Absolutely.